Thank you guys and welcome for being here for the speech. I know that some of you guys are smokers and this is probably going to be an engaging persuasive speech for you guys. What is the one product that we use that if you take it absolutely as directed, the instructions say, will cause injury and death? Tobacco. The one thing that's commonly sold in just about every convenience store, every place not like this. Now there's an idea I need to propose to you guys to think about, take home, chew on it, and really think hard about it. And it's not an invasion of your privacy or your rights, because I am a former smoker myself, and I started at a very young age. And I'm sure a lot of you that used to be smokers know that a lot of us started at very young ages. And the idea is to ban the use of tobacco in any public place, as well as selling tobacco in public place. Now it's a thought for you guys to kind of think about real quick and just mull over and not make a complete decision at the moment. We're going to talk about a few things. I myself am a former smoker. I smoked from the time I was 12 to I was 25. Introduced with tobacco at school. Some older kids are smoking in the boys' room. See the older kids and say, hey, do you want to drag off a cigarette? And you're like, okay, I want to be cool. I want to be like the older kids. I've interviewed a couple of other people. One is Thomas Dalton Cox, and he shared a similar story. About 13 years old, walked into the boys' room at school. Someone smoking a cigarette, said, hey, you want to drag a cigarette? You want to be cool? Picked up a cigarette. And unfortunately, that's all it takes is the one cigarette for a lot of people, and you're hooked. So with that being said, the New Mexico Department of Health for years has known that tobacco is bad. And they put out tobacco cessation program manuals. 450,000 deaths a year in the United States from tobacco. One interesting recommendation that they make, though, in all public healthcare facilities is what? No smoking signs. Yeah, no smoking signs, and discourage your employees from smoking in public view. Because the reality is, though, if you see it and you smell it, you're going to want it. For a lot of people. Statistically showing with the CDC, if you don't start smoking at a young age, you're not going to be a smoker into your adulthood. Now, what does smoking bring us? Emphysema, chronic bronchitis, COPD, lung cancer. Some of those are quite significant up to the point of death. Pathophysiology books have been written warning us about the dangers of smoking, diseases, stuff like that. All of us that work in the healthcare field know and understand this. Dr. Crawley had written several chapters inside here about carcinomas, malignant tumors, things like that. Even Dr. Berger and psychology books have written chapters that have talked about the dangers of seeing youth smoke and how to discourage it. But why would we want to ban smoking in public places?
Because it affects other people that aren't necessarily smoking themselves.
That's true. Secondhand smoke carries many carcinogens, can kill people, can also create part of the addiction problem. Unfortunately, a lot of us were influenced to smoke by creative advertising and kind of pushed into it, and it wasn't our fault. Joe Camel, the Marlboro Man, all the colorful cigarette ads, millions of dollars spent on advertising to influence us to smoke, to think, hey, this is cool, this is acceptable. And when you smoke, you know that once you get addicted, you get a lot of pleasure from each drag. Have a bad day at work, smoke a cigarette. Pressure at home, smoke a cigarette. Unfortunately, that circle of addiction is killing us. It's a burden on the healthcare system, a burden on ourselves, a burden on our taxes, and a burden on our future. Something for us to think about is actually our children and the future generations growing up. I'm not saying that each individual that's a current smoker now, I'm not trying to beat down on anybody. It's a personal choice. But we do have to take some steps to ensure that our future, that they can make the informed free will decision, do I want to pick this up or not? Instead of saying, man, that nurse was awesome. Look, he's outside smoking. That's cool. Or look at that firefighter. I seen him go outside and smoke. He's tough. Or even some other stuff. Get a good role model in your life. If they see him smoking, chances are. Positive association. Oh, that cigarette must be positive. They pick up the habit. People that are trying to quit smoking, if they're around cigarettes or see it all the time, what do they want to do? Smoke. For most of the times, the creative advertising has been limited, especially in magazines. The CDC has reported that there has been a decrease in the use of smoking, with cessation of smoking in a lot of public restaurants and things like that, as well as avoiding commercials in magazines geared towards teenagers. But they're still there. If you walk into a convenience store, you can still see some of the colorful advertising and stuff like that for different tobacco products. And it's not just cigarettes, it's also snusses, chews, stuff like that. Unfortunately, all forms of tobacco can cause cancer after long-term use. So not only are we talking about the idea of banning tobacco, smoking in public places, but it being sold in public view. Now, with that being said, what can we do to protect people's rights that are currently smoking? I'm not saying banning tobacco or prohibition on tobacco use. Matter of fact, our psychologist, Dr. Berger here, even points out in a couple of chapters that scare tactics will often drive people to smoke more than the truth and or limiting access to tobacco products. So introducing clubs, smoking areas that are non-public, more than acceptable. Not having colorful advertisements or even colorful boxes for the cigarette brands would be a solution as well. Anything to take the focus off the cigarettes to make them look more acceptable for those that are susceptible to the advertising and ideology of smoking and stuff like that. If you can keep people from smoking in public view, it'll stop children from seeing and associating people that they enjoy seeing smoking. And that should keep them decrease the amount that they're going to be smoking. And also, if kids don't have readily access to the tobacco products, they're less likely to actually pick up the cigarettes as they grow. And then a lot of this information is provided from the CDC, Center of Disease Control website. So this is an attack on people that smoke. I'm a former smoker myself, and I know exactly how it is. And I smoked for 12 years, and I quit in 06. So I got 6 years of not smoking under my belt. Am I beating anybody down for smoking? Of course not.
They get very defensive.
Of course, I would too. You know, I would too, and I did for many years. But unfortunately, there's been a lot of people that'll see all of us, and to somebody's eyes, we're all heroes in this room. And if they see us smoking, they might start associating that. And unfortunately, this is a product that is known to cause detrimental health effects and death. And death is the easy part about it. It's the long-term lung effects, long-term different cancers, metastasization, and stuff like that becomes the problem. So with that being said, now that we've talked about that, a couple positive things to think about is if we can decrease the numbers and deaths and problems associated with tobacco use, that increases money for different fundings. It'll increase money in your own pocket if you can quit smoking or not be susceptible to it. And also it'll save your futures, our future, the children, some more money by not picking up the habit as well as not being affected by the habit. So a couple ideas for you guys to think about. And I know I can see some of the looks from some of the smokers here that are saying, man, what are you talking about? That is not right. But it's okay, I've been there. But if you can consciously say, I really don't want my kids to pick this up for their lifetime and hack and die from this, then maybe you could say, okay, you know what? Maybe I don't need to smoke in public view. Maybe the way that companies are advertising these products isn't the right way. Anyone that smokes knows exactly what brand they want, how they want it, when they want it, where to get it. Do you really need colorful advertisements up for it? It's just something to think about. Because the colors really appeal to who?
Kids.
Youth, those that are younger. The different characters and the club scenes, the people with the cigarettes having a great time. Who is that to appeal to? Oftentimes youth who haven't quite reached that stage in life and their own personal development of their own identity of who they are. That's what it's targeted at. So they put us at an unfair advantage. The only way to really correct that is to kind of take away that unfair advantage. Not to ban cigarettes, not to ban your free will, but just to stop some of the injustice that has occurred to many generations. Because at one time in the 50s, they even had doctors going on TV and saying, this brand of cigarette is good for you. Menthol cigarettes are okay if you have bronchitis. Then it was changed to, well, the extra charcoal filtering in this cigarette makes it safer. Even knowing that the product can kill. Just the way how it's been over the decades influencing people. Now we've come to a more enlightened age, and now it might be time for a different train of thought. It's not an attack on each individual. But we were attacked by a large company and huge advertising that threw millions of dollars at us. Now it's time to stop and kind of think about our kids and say, you know, maybe we need to do some stuff different. Maybe it's time we change some stuff so they don't pick up my habit. So I don't have to worry about them getting sick. Thank you guys for being here. I'll be able to answer some questions here shortly for you guys if you have any.
Yes, what's your opinion on the recent very colorful advertising on TV?
My opinion on the very colorful advertising on TV is it's pretty detrimental for those products.